Hello, everybody. Welcome to the live stream. Tuesday, I guess it is. It's going so fast. So today, as the thumbnail and title suggest, what I want to take a look at is there was an interview, and it's going to show you how there's a shift happening. I know if you're a Bitcoin maximalist, like I kind of feel like people are becoming, it's okay. This news is going to be good for every single altcoin user out there. And if you're into Bitcoin, you're going to do great. You're going to do just fine. Trust me, I own the majority of my portfolio is in Bitcoin. But this right here is really going to bring it home for Ethereum holders and pretty much altcoin holders moving forward. So what I'm talking about is there was a great interview. And this is the CEO of BitDigital. This is Santabar. And he's going to say, and it's amazing to me, they had a very successful Bitcoin mining company. They stopped all Bitcoin mining. They sold all their Bitcoin. They raised funds for Ethereum, and now they hold over $250 million in Ethereum. Let that sink in just for a second. It's crazy. But there was three parts to this interview, and I want to play them all for you, and just to go down this rabbit hole. And again, this is good for everybody moving forward. So just take a listen to this first 20 seconds about exactly what's going on.
BitDigital recently exited Bitcoin mining to focus solely on its ETH treasury and staking plans. And now your company is announcing that it completed its transition to an Ethereum treasury strategy. So now BitDigital shifted its entire treasury to Ethereum, becoming one of the largest ETH holders among public companies. Can you take us through what was behind the move?
Okay, first of all, you have to understand something about BitDigital. This is a publicly traded company. And why throw out what works? Because it doesn't really make too much sense, right? I mean, if you have a Bitcoin mining company, Bitcoin's the solution for everything, as we've been told, and it's a great commodity. I still think it is number one. But why would they do that? Especially if you take a look at their stock price. This is BitDigital. And over the last day or so, not too bad. Actually almost $4, and then it's down to $3.88. Take a look over 5 days. That's interesting. How about a month? How about 6 months? What the heck is going on? Why was it flat? And then from Thursday, June 26th to today, it went up at a massive, it doubled in price, $2, almost over $4, essentially. It was because of the Ethereum strategy. But we have to go back even further to take a look at, well, what was it doing before then? It wasn't doing too bad. And we take a look at 5 years. That's just to go for the max. When this was always a Bitcoin mining company, and look how well they did. They topped out in 2021 at over $16, no, that's not right, $25. And now they were just pretty much flat until this announcement with Ethereum. So the question is, why was this being done now? What's going on? And what does this mean? And again, as we understand everything that kind of flows in the crypto markets, it usually starts with Bitcoin. Then some people, they sell their Bitcoin like they've been doing. Don't tell me people haven't, because they have been. It goes into Ethereum, and then it goes into their altcoins, large cap, and then a small cap. That has been the theory, or that has been the playbook going forward. And this, I think, could ignite it. And it's a whole host of companies going into this strategy. So the question you have to ask is why? Why did you do that? And the CEO is going to explain to that in the next minute or so. And also going to talk about developer, not stagnation, but the amount of developers that are coming in and the fees that entails. So let me make sure you can actually hear this correctly. I'm going to be going back and forth just to make sure here. Take a listen to this. This is about a minute or so.
Look, coming from an institutional background, I've been in this space for many years, and I feel like many investors felt like they missed on the Bitcoin wave. Ethereum represents that next wave. And, we're not just buying a coin, we're putting our reserves into a protocol that powers trillions of on-chain activity. We believe Ethereum is becoming a new category as a strategic corporate asset, like gold and treasury bonds once were, but with one difference. Ethereum is alive. It moves with technological innovation. It has tens of thousands of developers on chain, more than any other blockchain, including Bitcoin or Solana. And also, Ethereum captures real activity, real economic activity. As stablecoin volumes grows, as tokenization becomes a thing, the fees generated by that activity flow back to ETH holders. And Bitcoin does not participate in that feedback loop, in that value loop. We believe Ethereum is where economic throughput is frankly headed.
Okay, first of all, that's a lot of claims to collaborate. And we have to go through that because you can't just get a free pass, right? So what he talked about there was developer activity and how much there was, and then also fees. And then also, before we go on, I will say that I should have actually mentioned this in the beginning. People in the comment section, which I pretty much knew this was going to happen, they're like, okay, Ethereum, sure, great. That's not the big play. The big play is this alt, that alt, this alt. Everything that you guys say, as far as like ICP and Solana, trust me, I own that too. I want that to do well. I'm just showing you one side of where things are going. I do not think that Ethereum is going to be the end all be all and then everything just goes to zero. That is ridiculous. But I can tell you, just like I said in the beginning, when things start flowing to Ethereum, it flows down to other altcoins. Now, your alt, and probably my alt, because I own a whole bunch of them, are going to do just fine. But let's go over these claims, first of all, and talk about what he was saying. First of all, developer activity. That was an interesting one because I didn't think Ethereum was doing that much developer activity. And everything that I talk about in this video, I link this in the description so you can do your own research because you can't rely on me. I am human and I make mistakes. However, if we can take a look at just the development activity here for, let's say, Ethereum, and then it's talking about rank as far as by market cap, and they look at GitHub commits and price and all that stuff. You can say that GitHub commits 443,000. Seems to be quite a bit. And then the next one would be Cortex and Avalanche, Ontology, and so on and so forth. But it didn't say anything like, I was looking personally for Solana. It wasn't here. So I'm like, what the heck's going on? There's another website, Developer Report. And we can take a look over this one, and you can see that full-time devs, or how many actually are out there, just on the EVM stack and Ethereum. And that's not even taken into account like Polygon and Base, which doesn't really have that much. But combine these two, you're looking at 6,000. Maybe there's overlap. Maybe there's overlap here. Okay, got you. But if you take a look at that, that's a lot of developer activity. Now, as far as like full-time developers, it has gone down by 20%, but it still has a whole boatload of developer activities. Now, Solana here, 1,005. It's pretty good. I mean, look, again, I hope Solana does well. I got a big fat bag of it. That'll work out. Great. Bitcoin, Polkadot, Cosmos, they still got a lot of developers, but the activity is pretty darn high. That means there must be some commitment in where they think things are going. And the last thing he did say was about fees. Now, this is interesting. Sometimes, not sometimes, all times, it's not great for us to pay a bunch of fees, right? So Ethereum layer 1, the fees are sometimes ridiculous and they're sometimes reasonable. But if you take a look at other like layer 2 solutions, very low, very cheap. And also, if you take a look at other layer 1s, they're way cheaper. Solana comes to mind, as a matter of fact. Cardano's not too bad either. But you can just say like the last daily fees or 7-day fees, that's a lot of fees. Now, he's saying that that actually goes to the Ethereum holders. We'll see if that actually holds true. But you can see right here, and this is actually a case that Mark Cuban made when he was getting into crypto, first of all. And he did make a lot of mistakes, I might add. But he did say, like, where are the funds coming from? Where's this going? Of course, you don't want a bunch of them, but I mean, it does keep the lights on, right? So Ethereum's got his number one. 1-day fees, $5 million. Again, you want them a little bit lower, but if you want to actually grow the ecosystem and grow the brand, this is where we're at. So that gets us to where he talked about. So yeah, there's a lot of developer activity and there's a boatload of fees that we can corroborate that. Now let's go into what they did and where did all these funds go? And this is about, again, a minute or so. Let me jump back, put this on correct, crystal clear audio. Take a listen to this.
Dang.
Now, Bit Digital raised about $172 million and is using that capital to buy ETH. The company also sold more than 417 Bitcoin, which was the firm's entire remaining Bitcoin position, and used the proceeds to buy more ETH. So where does the company stand now in terms of your ETH holdings, and will that capital be used for anything else? What are your plans?
That's right. We sold a profitable business. We exited a profitable business, Bitcoin mining, and we took the cash on our balance sheet and we sold all our Bitcoin. And we did this raise. Actually, personally participated in that raise myself with my own savings, and we poured that all into Ethereum. We now have 100,000 Ethereum we have accumulated about 100,000 on our balance sheet, and we're just getting started. That's just the start. We're just getting warmed up.
We have
Okay, so that's great. Just getting warm. That's a lot of money, and that's how much they have Ethereum. But they also sold a whole boatload. I mean, they sold essentially, I want to say all their Bitcoin, unless I misheard him. Correct me in the comment section. And this last piece, to get into it, and we'll get into like where this goes with Robinhood, where this goes with a couple other different businesses and corporations that are putting this on their balance sheet. The question is, how much of a believer are they? And the next thing he says about the belief, which of course you can get in any way, but the bigger question is, what is this going to do for everybody? Because it can't just be, it's a great thing we have in our treasury. What does this actually do? What is the utility? Where are we going with this? So take a listen right here.
There is no second best to rewrite the financial system. Ethereum has something called smart.
Okay, first of all, he said there's no second best to rewrite the financial system. He didn't say which is what Michael Saylor says, is there's no second best as far as like a store of value, which I got to tell you, I think Bitcoin is a heck of a lot better as a store of value. Correct me in the comments section. He is saying to rewrite the entire financial system as it's put it out here. So make sure we get that straight so there's no ambiguity.
Smart contract technology where you can actually program conditions between wallet A and wallet B. And when those conditions are met, value is being transferred. Also, tokenization is a real thing. And a lot of that is built on Ethereum. You can tokenize real world assets. In other words, you could digitalize real world assets or traditional assets like stock, like property and real estate, even art. And you could put that in the blockchain and you could trade the digital version of that on the Ethereum blockchain. It's not possible to do that with Bitcoin. Ethereum is the blue chip institutional blockchain to do that. And it's the only one. There is no second best.
It's a pretty bold claim, I must admit. I know some people in the comment section, because I'm reading them as we're going through, and they're spicy. And we'll get to that in the Q&A. But you have to remember, what's the narrative? And of course, if you're here and just say, hey, I only want to go Bitcoin, that's great. Or if you're like here and saying, I want to go Fartcoin, whatever. The thing is, I'm trying to give you a little bit of both sides of the same story, just so you can make an informed decision. Again, you shouldn't listen to just me and say, well, I'm just going to have to put my life savings into Ethereum. Obviously, that's not what I'm saying, but I'm saying there is a shift, and I think people can feel it as things are going on. And actually, we actually covered this with Tom Lee from Fundstrat, as he's doing the exact same thing. And I said, Tom's going to pump your ETH bags because he's going to put this on the balance sheet, just like what we just saw over here with Santa Bar at Bit Digital. They're doing the exact same thing. And I think a lot of other companies are going to start doing this. And then, of course, another one that you can probably remember is Robinhood, which is a pretty big entity. They didn't pick ICP. They didn't pick XRP. They didn't pick Cardano. They didn't pick Bitcoin. To digitalize those stocks, what did they pick? They picked Arbitrum, which is a layer 2 solution on top of Ethereum. And I think it's one of those aha moments of, why did you do that? And that was the big question. And actually, there was a great interview over on Coinage where they interviewed, I guess it's the one of the leads or CEO of Arbitrum, Stephen Goldeder. And what he said in this interview, I'm going to actually play this one. It's about 30 seconds or so. And this is the one that really got to me. I'm like, oh, okay, that's why they did it. Because I was like, why would they pick that when they have something like a Solana or maybe Cardano that never goes down, or maybe they could do like a layer, like something on top of Bitcoin? Just take a listen to this.
And the signal it sends to those institutions.
Yeah, I think the more large players that come on chain and that choose Arbitrum and choose Ethereum, the better ultimately we do, and the faster and easier it will be for someone else. No one, what's the old saying, like, no one ever got fired for choosing IBM, right?
Nobody ever got fired choosing IBM. Nobody wants to be first, but nobody wants to be last. I think that's pretty much sums it up, part of what they did it. And then, of course, moving forward, I think if other corporations and entities are going to look at that and go, okay, you guys picked the layer 2 solution, maybe we should actually look into that. Could be, couldn't be. We'll see where it goes. But lastly, I will say, and we've been talking a lot about this on the channel, which was payments. Payments are going to be a big aspect of it. There's a reason why they are passed the Genius Act in Congress. And it was all about stable coins, which was actually good for the United States because stable coins have to be backed by what? The dollar and treasuries. So if they can do that, America wants as much as we possibly can. And it wasn't just America that figured that out, it was Visa. And you've probably seen this many a time on this channel. If you want to look for some of the winners, just take a look at where stable coins are being built and the transaction volume. I linked this in the description as well. This is the stablecoin transaction volume by blockchain. And you can just see over time, and this is why, like me as an American, I never got why Tron was in the top 10. I never got it until I actually had to deal with people in Southeast Asia and parts of EU. Tron has massive amount of pairs, and they are essentially 52% of the volume on Tether. That's a lot. Tether is the #1 stablecoin. So we take a look at this, and again, this is stablecoin transaction volume. Tron, Ethereum, BS, Binance Smart Chain, Solana, Base, Arbitrum, Polygon. Layer 2 solutions and Layer 1. Tron and BSC, Solana being Layer 1. And then also stablecoin transaction count. And what do we have? BSC, Tron, Solana, Polygon, Base, Arbitrum, Ethereum. So I'm not here to say like this is the end all be all. I just think that if we take a look and just zoom out and say what's really going on here, this is the big play. For the payments, for digitization of real world assets. I'm not saying other altcoins can't do well. I see XRP in the comment section, everything else. But also I'd like to bring this to everybody's attention. Which altcoins have been stagnant, like really bad? I think you know which one I'm talking about. Obviously it's Ethereum. Over the last 24 hours, it's gone up 2%. Whoop did he do? 7 days, roughly flat, 2,400, 2,500. I'm not getting out of bed for that. How about a month? Boring. 3 months, 1 year, awful. And then if we go back even to 2023, we're essentially at the same price. Well, that's January. Let me go back a little bit more. 1,800. December 2,300. Today we're at 2,500. So the narrative hasn't been there. Maybe this is the shift. I could be wrong. This is just what I see. Let me know what you think about that in the comment section. That's it for today. So look, if you like today's video, which if you don't hold Ethereum, you're probably not too happy. But again, I think it's gonna be great for altcoins. Hit the like and subscribe. Other than that, let's do a little Q&A. I'm sure you guys got a bunch of questions and we'll go from there. Jupiter says, Fartcoin is pretty stagnant. No. Hot air rises. So that's probably why the price is going up. Who knows? Tony says maybe ETH has been suppressed deliberately like silver has been. All rigged if ETH is the chosen one. No, there is manipulation going on, obviously, in the futures and the swaps, which is all paper Bitcoin, paper Ethereum. It's not really backed up by anything. The problem with that over there is that they manipulate over there, and it shouldn't really affect us, but it does because people look at those markets and go, why did somebody short Ethereum or whatever at this massive amount? They must know something. And then people sell like crazy, even though nothing's going on, they're just manipulating the market. And now, is that all manipulation? No, but I mean, come on, some manipulation goes on everywhere. Just take a look at Chase Bank. So we have stuff like that going on, or spoofing the market, I should say. Sorry, Chase. Commodities, gold, silver. So with this one, I don't really say it's like that. I think the narrative has been pretty stagnant and boring for Ethereum. I think that's why people stay away from it. They're like, it doesn't do anything. It's a dead technology. Then all of a sudden we come back, all these companies are going, well, you know what? Looks pretty good. Maybe we'll just do this one. But it could be something else, but I just wanted to bring this to everyone's attention. Rob is our leader of Medicare Council. I'll take the medic part. We just need rate cuts. Marty's right. That would be nice. Smash the like button. Thank you, Tesla. I appreciate it. Hey, look at that. 312. The 312. Rotating stocks here at Digital Asset News. Robinhood, that stock has been going pretty crazy. I'll tell you that. Circle's been doing pretty good. MicroStrategy pretty well. I don't know. Maybe something to look at. We talked about it yesterday, but it's anybody's guess. Ballroom Matt says, did ADA, SOL, and XRP get approved in a bundle ETF? No, but I believe there was a staking ETF that was approved for Solana. Worked out pretty well for them. I feel like Ethereum will go up whenever XRP goes up. Probably so. I remember the days when Ben Kahn would not touch anything if it bled against Ethereum. And Ben's not going to touch this until it hits that magical number that he's been talking about. Probably do really well. But what we try to do is we try to see trends before they happen. I'm not too excited after, you know, Ethereum or Solana doubles, then get on that train. I've been dollar cost averaging Bitcoin for the last ever. So, you know, at some point, some alts will do quite well. And of course, people will say, well, Solana was at $9 a year and a half ago or whatever it was. It's true. And Ethereum was at 20. Well, that's a bad example. It was at 2,500. You know what would pump Ethereum? Quantitative easing. Yeah, well, we're doing a little bit of money printing already. So we're almost there. All we got to do is just get rid of Jerome Powell. It's not like the current administration likes him. Question, why are you still doing YouTube? Would you stop once you make a big time accrual? Estonian, I retired from working for somebody else in 2015. And because it was, you know, had real estate ventures, had an online education platform, had a sports facility. I didn't really run any of them because I let the employees do it. So 2017, I buy Bitcoin. Everybody knows the story. And in 2019, started a channel because I was bored. It really comes down to it. Anybody who's out there who's retired, let me know in the comment section, what is one of the worst parts of retirement? It is boredom. And that's really the big thing. I know people will say, well, why don't you just move to a tropical island and sip Mai Tais all day? Well, first of all, I already moved to a tropical island. We live in Puerto Rico. Just right now, we're in Texas. And to sip Mai Tais all day is not a good health plan if you'd like to be in shape or you don't want to, you know, off yourself because it's so boring. You have to actually do something. But to answer your question, once we, and I talked about this many times, once we get into a blow off top and I start selling things, I'm going to do a video. I'm going to tell you I'm selling, just like I laddered in, I will ladder out. And then throughout that blow off top, I will leave the channel. And I won't make any videos because nobody needs a cheerleader during the bull run. Nobody does. And that's when all the bad stuff happens anyhow. People get overextended. People have way too high on hopium. And I won't come back until we hit a bear market. Because that's when people need a little bit of a pep talk, we could say. Oh, Omar says, what do you think ADA is going this year? I think it's going to do well. I was a little disappointed, though. I just read today, correct me in the comment section, Charles Hoskinson originally had said that he was going to take 10% of the Cardano Foundation, the treasury, and put that into Bitcoin. They're already going to do like a layer 2 solution on top of Bitcoin. I think this is great. This is fantastic. I mean, you hedge your bet, working for other companies. MicroStrategy worked out okay. And I was like, that's good. And then they can do all the rest of the stuff they're doing with Cardano. Never goes down, smart contracts, EUTXO, fantastic. And then today I just read that they're going to go against that and they're not going to put into Bitcoin and they're just going to go right into the ecosystem that is Cardano, which I mean, it's not a bad thing, but I was kind of really hoping they would go that route. I know a lot of people gave them a lot of guff. So, I mean, I was hoping they would have gone that direction, but they did not. So we'll see. But like I said before, I think the Dino coins, which would be the Ethereums, the XRPs, the Binance Smart Chain, the Cardanos, the Solanas, they're going to do pretty well because they've proven themselves. They're still in the top 20. Cardano is just out of the top 10, I believe. And also Tron. And I think those are the ones that people that when they come back and they realize, hey, where's all the meme coins? Oh, they're dead? Oh, well, this is what I remember. Maybe let's get into that. Could be wrong. Is the ETH guy on drugs? I don't know. He looked pretty with it. I remember the day Simon Dixon was raging at Coinbase for listing Ethereum. Good days, holy smokes, that is a long time ago. Rebecca says, Rob, tell us more about relocating to PR for no cap gains. I got it. I'll do you one even better. There's this great website. It's called Dan Teaches Crypto, and it's 100% free. It's free. It'll always be free. I know you guys know what I'm talking about. And over there, I did this video where I did 2 videos. One, when I first moved to Puerto Rico, and another one a year later where I told you all the screw-ups that I did that I wouldn't have done again. So I would just say, if you were looking for that video, you can do one of two things. You can just do a search on Google or a search on YouTube. It'll come up, but you got to watch ads. Or you can just sign up for my website. All these videos are in Vimeo, which is a premier account, so you don't have any ads. And this is just the investing module. There it is. And there's the video. All my big mistakes, module 3. Now, there's other modules like the critical ones, the safety ones. So check those out. But Puerto Rico is probably the best. I love that place. Best place on the planet. Bitcoin maxi pads will be fine. Why do they care what other people do with their money? Because it's not going into Bitcoin. That's why. And they want everybody to go into Bitcoin, and that's it. And that's fine. I mean, it's actually worked out pretty well for us, right? I mean, 75, 80% of my portfolio was Bitcoin. So, I mean, gosh, what was it? Not too long ago, weren't we at like $75,000, something like that? Let me see. People are like, no, that's not true. Yeah, it's true. Look at this. April 8th, 2025. Well, that wasn't too long ago. We were at $76,000. So, yeah, I mean, appreciation is very nice so far. But look, it's all about what you want to do. Let's see. The Sol ETFs has a deadline for approval in the month. Probably might go through. Ugh. Ballroom Matt says the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission has approved the conversion of a Grayscale's digital large cap fund into an ETF. Well, that's great. That means that there's more dumping that Grayscale can do. As a reminder, for the Bitcoin ETF and the Ethereum ETF, Grayscale was the biggest dumper. However, I think, and Matt's going to have to help me, but if you go to the Grayscale website, it'll tell you the assets under management and the volume that they have for each particular digital asset. And we actually looked at this a couple of weeks ago, and a lot of their assets that they hold, I mean, Bitcoin was by far and away the biggest. Then it was Ethereum, and then everything dropped off precipitously. It was just a massive amount of nothing burger. So even if they start dumping, it's not that much of sell pressure. So, but I don't know what is included into that their large cap fund. I would assume it's multiple digital assets. Pest says, hey, Rob, how about these companies being wrong for ETH? They could be wrong, and Robinhood could be wrong. Robinhood, I mean, I would assume, you would hope that they did a boatload of due diligence on Ethereum, and they would think to themselves, okay, if we do this, we don't want a chain that's going to, go down for long periods of time or get massive hacks, which I have to tell you, the Ethereum layer 1 chain has not been hacked, but the different DEXs and projects that have been built on Ethereum, they have been hacked. Is that not untrue? I believe there's been many a hack on different projects on Ethereum, but I believe that's because they didn't build it in the correct fashion. Now, some people might say, no. There is actually a flaw with the Ethereum virtual machine and the way that the smart contracts are run. I'm not a developer. It's just what they say. However, I would hope that Robinhood took a look at all that and said, you know what? Even for whatever happened over there with Arbitrum and what they've done, and we're building on Arbitrum. Make no mistake about it. When he came out, the Vlad, whatever his name is, the CEO of Robinhood, and he said, we're building on Arbitrum. This is the initial part. And then we're going to come out with Robinhood coin. People were saying, oh, they're going to make their own coin. No, they're going to make their own coin, but it is on the Arbitrum ecosystem for corporate entities. There's like 3 different subsections of Arbitrum that you can build on, and we went over that on the website itself. So I would hope that they did, because if they start losing funds or something gets hacked, then their whole business goes away. That whole cycle. I mean, their stock takes a massive hit, and who knows if they recover. So hopefully they did the due diligence. I would hope so. A couple $1 billion company. ICP was meant to be in retirement and hasn't even panned out yet. Yeah, maybe it will. Hopefully. I have some of that. I sold all my ETH because it's slow and expensive. That said, so much is built on, it's not going anywhere. Yeah, it is slow and expensive. That's for sure. But I think that's why they did all the layer 2 solutions. And I think that's why Robinhood said, okay, we'll have a transaction layer, which is Ethereum, which is slow and expensive, which, you know, we could have roll-ups and we can do thousands of transactions, and the one transaction we slip in there, you know, the cost is low and it's slow, whatever. But the layer 2 that we picked, Arbitrum, is extremely fast. And maybe we don't have to have a 10 million TPS. And that's another thing about TPS. We just talked about, let's take a look at SUI and SWI and how it was, they compared TPS versus the transaction count for each one's of the TPS. They could do like 100 or 1,000 transactions within one TPS. So I'm still not convinced that's like the best way. But I mean, Mr. Slim could be right. This could be a massive disaster. Joseph knows what I'm talking about. When you retire, kids are gone, you know, everything's like set up, and you're like, what do I do? What do I do? You know, it's only you can only go to the gym so much. You can only hit so many golf balls. I don't even play golf. Probably I should start. And of course, what are your friends doing? They're all working. So like when you retire, it gets boring. So make sure that you know, it's great to have a bunch of money, but you know, you got to have a purpose in life. I don't trust ICP. Retiring soon. That's very nice. Ron says late, starting from the beginning, but I'm here. That's good. There's a toy floating in Rob's green screen. Nice touch. Fiverr does do good work. Hey, yes, iTRUST Solana staking. Hyman, by the way. Oh, great. Yeah, Roth iTRUST. One of my Roth IRA. Well, the only Roth IRA I have. You can now stake your Solana, which is pretty cool. So you get to stake your did I say Cardano? You get to stake your Solana. I think the rate's between 6.4 and 6.6%, somewhere around there. And that Solana goes into your retirement account. It accumulates, and you don't have to pay any taxes on it. Pretty cool. Tesla says retired in 2013, and I love it. It is pretty fun. It is great to not have to be at any one place at any one time because, you know, your uppers, your bosses want you there. Ugh, I used to hate that. Yeah, Daniel says, when bored, I have time to do with things like kids. That part is off. You got kids, and they're still at home. It is pretty great. I'm not bored. It isn't my job gets in the way. Yeah, my JOB. And you know what JOB stands for? Just over broke. 10K ETH equals retirement. I hope it works out for you, Phil. That'd be cool. Been retired 3 months and I have 8 hobbies. Still. Yeah, exactly. Boredom is right. See, everybody knows if you've retired, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Knowledge says, it seems like the bull run is over. As the cycles go, it usually like 2 more pumps, then unless you don't sell, you're locked in, or you lose a lot of money if you sell while the cycle is over. It is something to think about. And I was going to show this to everybody, but now that know before it's known, this right here, actually, I'm sorry, this right here. What do you notice between these two? Not looking at dates. Look the same, don't they? Well, let me do this. And this is, remember in 2021, March, Bitcoin is 44,000. Then in April, it hit 63,000. Everyone's excited. They're going to the moon. And then it went from 63,000 in April, and it cut itself in half to 29,971 in July. Let me do some quick math. May, June, July. It's like 3 months. It's like 50%. 50% drawdown in 3 months. But then what happened? We had a nice little pump, and then we had a double top. Now over here, what happens? And I hate to say it, like it does look kind of like that. January 21st, 106,000. And then February, March, April, 3 months, it dropped 25%. Yeah, roughly 25%. It's not 50%, but 25%. And then we had another big rally, 211,000 in May. And now here we are. Here we go. But, oops, that's not right. But you see over here where it topped at 67,000 and it started to do this downward slide. And we kept going. And if I go forward, you can see just how bad it was. November. But this one is different a little bit. We had a top. We had a 25% reduction. We had another top, local top. But we haven't really gone down. We've just been going sideways. And that's the only difference that I can see right now. I still think we have a way to go. I still think it's going to come down to we have to have some clarity on tariffs. We have to have one of the big wars get over. It's either Ukraine and Russia, Iran, Israel, if that really does go through. We have to get some cuts, Fed rate cuts. I'd like two. I'll take one. We have to a little quantitative easing, a little bit of less of quantitative tightening. We do all those things, which I think could happen throughout towards the end of the year. I think we'll see a nice little run. I don't know what's going to happen in 2026, though. These are just all guesses. Rob, how about the companies choosing ETH tend to be wrong in their decision? I don't know if they tend to be wrong. I mean, Robinhood did okay. How was the stock on Robinhood, matter of fact? Robinhood stock. Let's see. No, it could be. It's down 3% for the past 5 days. Well, in a month, it's been up. Well, it is up 25%. But that's, how about 6 months? All right. How about a year? Okay. How about 5 years? How about max? Oh, not too bad. However, they did just say this, a week ago? They are down almost 3% since their announcement of using Ethereum. So maybe. It's not what worked for the other companies that like Metaplanet when they started to add Bitcoin on, but give it some time. Who knows? Danielle says, then you'll leave and get bored. Yes, that's probably going to happen. But I've got some projects in my back pocket that I need to do. And I can get those done doing that. Okay, let's project the prices at 10K. What macro trade? Oh, sorry, Chins, I did answer that one already. Stock to flows, models been around long before Bitcoin and start with plan B. All models are wrong, some are useful, very true. Everything will do well. Hoofty, you should be my co-anchor for this show. That was a pretty good call. The lobster tells Charles what to do. Yeah, that if you don't know what that is, Charles Hoskinson, he has a lobster that's on his microphone. It's pretty funny. And then yeah, I don't know if you guys saw that he had an interview. I forgot the guy's name, ex-Navy SEAL. He had a good point about Elon Musk and all his companies. And he said, you know, Elon, he goes, he has to do all these things because, I mean, first with SpaceX, and he wants to go to Mars, and then with Tesla, you know, he's going to want to have some humanoid robots because people can't all go there hundreds of thousands at a time. We can send over those. He goes, then with the Boring Company, all the humans are going to live underneath Mars, so he needs to do the Boring Company. And then with the sun flares or the solar panels that he does, that he's going to need to have massive amount of energy. So he just use the solar panels that he created here. And he goes, so everything he's doing here is just him wanting to go over to Mars. That was a pretty good one. Yeah, Sean Ryan interview, and it was 5 hours. This XRP whale sent me the link, and I was like, 5 hours? Well, good for him, or sorry to hear that, but I'm not going to watch the whole thing. But it was pretty good, the parts I did see. Yeah, all right. Elon needs to behave. He can't keep that guy down. ETH to 10K, Inc. 4X, sure. Oh, 138 to 164K September 8th. Bitcoin Fibonacci targets. I'll take it. Rob, I hope you sold all your meme coins and bought Bonk. Well, I mean, I did the half and half method. So meme coins pretty much, I mean, I still have some dust. I still have ones that are worthless, but I did okay. And I didn't really get too much into them. We talk about them, but that's it. But Bonk, I always thought was going to do quite well. Oh, speaking of which, I was going to do this article, but I thought it was going to go too long. Did you know that Pump.fund is now being replaced with this thing called Bonk.fund? Bonk.fund grabs 55% of Solana token issuance share. So the question I had was, well, actually, I don't even know what the answer is. How is Bonk doing Well, it's up 60% in 7 days. That's not bad. Let's see. But over a year, it's really sucking. Let's be honest. Let's see. Max. Wow. You tell me Bonk was, wow, that was pretty good. Yeah. Let's see how Bonk does. But it's a, I'm not going to say it's a worthless token because I guess over here, which is other meme coins you can use it for, but I don't really think it's like, I don't know. I don't think we're going to have real world assets on Bonk, but who knows? Let's see. Sol is definitely better than Ethereum. No comparison even. Well, I mean, we did do a reasonable comparison there. And I mean, yeah, of course, it's more expensive and TPS is abysmal. That's why those layer 2 solutions are there. Got you. Solana definitely is much faster and much, much cheaper. I don't know how many times Ethereum has gone down. I know Solana, that's the big thing. And then, of course, if you want to talk about a VC coin, I mean, Ethereum was, come on. So, Solana is a dream to use except on wallets. I got to tell you, I've had no problems with Solana. I use Phantom Wallet. We've done some giveaways here on the channel. Very, very smooth. Arbitrum, yeah, I mean, that's the one that Robinhood chose, so why not? Bobby says, if you participate rich with Ether, XRP, you are in for a very nasty surprise. You sound like the exact opposite of my friend, other Bobby. Let's see. Module 3, not saying what's the title. Investments. So it might say Module 2 or Module 3. We're just going there. Solana froze for a few times. Is not looking good. And then empty. Let's leave it here. I don't like the online wallet thing, and I have to agree. I would recommend everybody to get a TANGEM. Also, if you follow me over on X, we're doing a TANGEM giveaway. I'm giving away 3 of these TANGEMs, these TANGEM wallets. So follow me on X. All you got to do is look for the last 4 or 5 different posts. Just repost that, and I'm going to give away some TANGEMs live on Saturday. And I got a couple of guests helping me out do it. So that's it for today. We're going 42 minutes. Let's get out of here. So everybody, like today's video, like, subscribe. That's it for this piece. See you guys in the next one. Thanks so much. I do appreciate you. And I'll see you on the next one. Adios.